All right, folks, welcome back to yet another episode of Fresh Juice, an indie game podcast where, well, we review indie games, we talk about indie game news, and much more. And I am one of your hosts, Tommy Fresh. Joined as always, it is
Matty Juice. What is going on, everybody? Hope you're doing well. Saw the eclipse today. Pretty cool. We're recording on the 8th here. So if you're listening to this, it'll be on a Wednesday, and hopefully you saw the eclipse. But yeah, how's everything going, Tommy?
It's good. I saw the eclipse too. Burnt my retinas real nice and good. I can't see anything. I don't even know if I pressed record, let's be honest.
We're doing it blind.
Yeah, we're going in blind. We go in blind on these reviews every single time. Not blind as to we didn't play the game. That would be hilarious if we just review games we didn't play. But we don't do that. That would be not ethical. I don't think. But not much is going on. Busy weekend, I think. I worked on Saturday. Ugh. Hate working on Saturdays, and then Sunday had to do some wedding stuff, which was interesting. I loved it's just awesome to do all that and get super stoked for the wedding. I tell you what, man, it's never not annoying. I love it. No, it is great. It's great. I know that the person that I'm marrying is listening, and I like to give her a hard time. So, and I know she's listening. So, but that's pretty much it. And so I got a busy week this week of work, which I'm not looking forward to, but looking forward to the game we're playing next week, which is going to be a lot of fun. But what's going on with you, buddy?
Yeah, no, I had a good weekend. Finally had like some free time. So Saturday, I was streaming a lot. Twitch.tv/Matty Gorm. Once Human, the beta came out, so that's been a game I've been looking forward to for a bit. So I basically binged that all day. So that was nice. I haven't done that in a while. And then Sunday just went out with the in-laws for my mother-in-law's birthday. Had some good food, and just kind of chilled Sunday night. Watched some TV. Nothing too crazy, but I excited to talk about today's game as well. But I know we got a little bit of news to cover.
We do.
I can handle the first piece, Tommy, if you want.
Handle it. Give it to us straight.
If you guys aren't in the Discord, all right, you should just stop listening right now because the rest of the podcast isn't going to make any sense. All right. No, but join the Discord. Become an official Juice Head. We got some awesome people in there. We're always, chatting about new indie games, a lot of great game recommendations, listener questions getting submitted in there. And even I just posted an awesome game deal. Sea of Stars is 25% off, which is the lowest price it's ever been. That's the indie game of the year last year. So cool stuff like that. We got a lot going on in there. Then I know for some of the games we've reviewed on this show, some of these games that we're going to be reviewing, we're going to do some cool tournaments and just some play sessions, in the Discord. So especially for the game that we're going to be reviewing next week, but we'll get into that a little bit later. But that's the first big piece of news. And I know you're excited about this next piece of news, Tommy.
I sure am. I'm excited about this next piece of news. I'm also excited, about the Discord being the news every week. I don't, if you're new here, it's the news every week. Listen, but I'm stoked to get some juice sessions with the people in the Discord, so check it out. But this news is huge. This is the first major update for Battletros since it was released. 1.01, they're calling it the experimental branch. There's a ton in this. I mean, we can't go through all of it, but there are some nice not cost of living. What would you call it?
Quality of life.
Quality of life. Yeah, not there cost of living. What am I talking about? There's some nice quality of life updates in here in terms of your white steak, green steak, purple steak scaling. They made it a little bit less intense. They totally scrapped orange steak. So for those of you who don't know, when you play a deck, you beat it on the first white stake. It's just like the basic game. And then you can continue to increase your difficulty. Orange stake is the last one before the last one. It's the second to last one, as most people would call that. The last one's called gold stake. But the orange stake is this. I'm stuck on. So I beat all the stakes on the red deck. Now I'm trying to do that on the blue deck, and I'm stuck on the orange stake and the blue deck because the orange stake and the blue deck. I mean, it's always the same, but like it's just so hard because it is all the other difficulty buffs from the other stakes plus your packs, like the booster packs in the shop, get $1 more expensive each ante. So
Oh my god!
You get to a point like where you're looking at like an Arcana pack at like ante 7, and you can't, like, it costs like either all of your money or you can't even afford it. So end up being pretty brutal. Looks like we're gonna have a new perishable mechanic. So Jokers have a 30% chance to have perishable sticker, like the Eternal stickers, if anybody's played that, where basically it will just disable them after 5 rounds. So you only get a certain amount of time with the Jokers. And then they changed the gold stake as well. They scrapped the -1 hand size, which was also very punishing. And they added a rental mechanic where the Jokers have a 30% chance to have a rental sticker, which makes them cost only $1 up front. But then you got to pay $3 each round to use them, or else you just lose them. So really cool stuff. I love that Local Thunk is like not just accepting this game for what it is, because I also think like it will get stale if it was just the one thing for the rest of its life cycle, right? Yeah, I think you want to have different things change. Like he's experimenting with different buffs and nerfs on different Jokers, and it's very exciting. I mean, like that was just like 3 or 4 things I named. I think this has like a list of 40 changes maybe, which is pretty incredible. You know, certain buffs on things that really people were not valuing because they weren't really good enough, and now you got certain nerfs on stuff that people were just like grinding out wins on. So Local Dunk is obviously paying attention to this stuff, and it's very cool. I'm sure you know like the quality of life stuff there, Maddie, because you know you've had some trouble.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I definitely have not played as much of this as you and some of the other people in Discord, but yeah, I'm just looking through all these changes. Definitely like like what I'm seeing here. I see a lot of people saying also that like when you get like an uncommon or a rare tag, it now makes that Joker free.
Yeah.
Which is also a very huge change. So I like to see that. And yeah, I think like the overall theme from what I've been reading is that like it's making the game easier, which is, I understand like some people, they are kind of purists in a way, right? And they maybe don't want some things here to be changed. But I think it's a good thing, like you said, especially like, if Local Funk wanted to come out with expansions for Balatro, obviously that would take longer than what is happening here. So at least it kind of keeps it fresh while we're waiting for new content, while we're waiting for the mobile versions, booting up the game and just seeing even like nerfs. It makes the meta and your experience like different anyway. So I'm fine with it like becoming kind of easier, especially since I obviously I haven't gotten as far as you guys, but I still love the game, and yeah, excited to hop back in and be like, oh my god, like I used to hate this, and now this is so much better, like for whatever those specific things are. So yeah, a lot of cool changes in here. We'll definitely have it linked in the show notes if you guys want to check out all the patch notes. But yeah, it looks like this is on the experimental branch on Steam right now. I'm not sure if it's been rolled out fully, but I'm sure it will be soon. That's usually an indication it's going to be public soon. But yeah, great stuff, Local Fun. Can't wait to see what other updates are coming down the pipe here. I'm sure he's going to get a ton of feedback for this one, so there'll probably be some other stuff he'll change in the near future.
It's very cool too, because like the really neat thing about it is as you play more Balatro, you start to get into a rhythm of like, all right, I know what strategies are going to win. Now those strategies got a little nerfed and other strategies got buffed, so you got to try to make those work to see if like those are the new strategies you got to use. So like it actually gives you more different kinds of decks you can build, which is it's quite brilliant. So very exciting. But today, 4/11, when you're listening to this, is the day of the Triple I initiative, right?
Yes, it is. Yeah. I believe it's at 1 p.m. Eastern. It's a 45-minute It says tune in for 45 minutes of bangers. So this is an all indie event, something that's new, brand new. The teams behind Slay the Spire, Dead Cells, Terraria, and more indie devs unite for this digital event here. So if you're listening to this before 1 p.m. Eastern on, sorry, this is actually on April 10th. I'm seeing here. Whoops. Yeah. So April 10th is the day that you will be listening.
Yeah.
Not the 11th. I mixed
Yeah,
up
the day that this shows comes out.
Yeah. So if you're listening to this right out of the gate, make sure you tune in 1 p.m. for the Triple I initiative. I'm very curious to see how this turns out. Apparently, it's just like back to back to back trailers and announcements, things like that for indie. No ads, nothing like that in the show. So it should be pretty exciting. And I'll probably be in the Fresh Juice Discord. If anyone wants to watch it together, whatever it is, just let me know in the Discord. But yeah, it should be a good event. But we covered this last week. I just wanted to bring it up again, just as a reminder. Check out the show.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that I will be popping in as well. I don't know if I'll be in front of my computer, but I'll be out on the road, so I'll just hop onto my phone. And totally down to watch. If we just want to stream it in the Discord, that would be kind of cool if possible. So
yeah, definitely. Yeah,
cool.
we'll get it set up.
Awesome. And now this. Okay, so the next news article here, Maddie put in here, is an indie game about the struggles of pooping on the clock. Now, the funny thing about this is the second game in like 2 days I've seen that as the main focus of pooping. This is kind of the opposite of the other one I was watching. I was watching some streamer play this game where you run like a convenience store or like a video store or something like that. And the entire focus of the game is to prevent people from using your bathroom and pooping in it or pooping in your store. And okay. I'm watching this guy and like some NPC comes in and it's like a beggar. And he's like, I need to use the restroom. Can I use the restroom, please? And you're like, no, you can't. You got to leave. And he starts to walk out. And then he walked back in and just kneeled down and started pooping right in front of the thing. I was like, the streamer was like, oh, what the? Like, it was a weird game. But this one looks like it actually has more of a structure to it. What is this game?
Yeah, maybe that's the new trend that's going to happen. We thought it would be roguelikes, but maybe it's pooping games. There's not enough of them. But yeah, this is an indie game about the struggles of pooping on the clock. So it's called Please Leave Me Alone, I Need to Poop. So originally I was kind of thinking this game was just one of those kind of like a silly, stupid game. But it actually seems interesting. So basically, the way the game works is that you are an office worker and you get a call from your boss about a very important presentation that you have to give. And he's given you a bunch of different notes about the presentation, all this sort of stuff. But you really have to poop. So you basically need to complete WarioWare style mini games to not poop. Basically. So it's certain things like such as cleaning up the toilet seat, poking the eye of a local pervert who peered in between the cracks in the stall, smacking coworkers who dare block your path to the bathroom. Those are just some of the mini games. So it kind of seemed like, obviously it's a really silly premise, but when it said WarioWare style mini games, I was like, I'm kind of in on this. I would like to at least look at some gameplay for it because WarioWare is definitely underrated in my opinion. Yeah. But yeah, what do you think about this, Tom?
I love this kind of stuff. It's crass. It's a little wild, but it captures people's I don't know if imaginations, but it captures their humor. That's for sure, and it could present some really fun viewing experiences on streams and stuff like that for like variety streamers. Like I would watch a variety streamer play this. It sounds like a lot of fun. So, listen, this is pooping games. They're the next big thing. I know. Yeah, you said it before. We thought it was roguelites. It's becoming very clear to me that pooping games are in, roguelikes out. Unless there's a pooping roguelike, which
then that's in and out.
I'm not gonna lie, kind of it's like real life. Like you got to go on runs to go to the bathroom all the time. Like, what's this time like? But that's enough of the poop.
Also, just one quick thing about this game too that's pretty surprising is Kendrick Reinsch. Hopefully, I'm saying his name right. Is the voice of the protagonist, and he also was a voice in Red Dead Redemption 2. So kind of wild that like a game of that stature has someone also working on this game. It shows the not volatility. It shows the flexibility of voice acting, right?
Yeah,
you can go from a Red Dead Redemption to a pooping game and still keep it pretty high level. So definitely check out. Please leave me alone. I need to poop, and let us know in the Discord if it's good, because it looks.
I don't know if we'll be reviewing that one, but
yeah,
if you comment below, you want us to review it, maybe we'll consider it. Now, Moto Night, Maddie. I keep reading it and I say hello, Moto. It's the old Motorola commercials.
Yeah.
For anybody that's old enough, I guess. As we're getting to that point now where people aren't going to remember that, and we're going to be like, whoa. But anyway, Moto Night. We have this game here that we received keys for. This is from developer Jonathan Treitz, a solo developer, publisher Sketchy Games. It's available on Steam. It's $1.99. It's not a lot. It is a kind of, I guess, it's a motorcycle game, like, I guess, Trials, which you had mentioned when we played Leica. And you're just going through puzzles, different kind of puzzles. They get increasingly difficult. There are different kinds of challenges and different ways you interact with the levels as well. But the cool thing about it was the developer had drawn all the assets on one sticky note, post-it note or whatever. And those are the assets for the game, at least for the font and the character. I believe that other assets were created other than that. Now, Maddie, do you want to start off talking about the gameplay here and how you enjoyed it?
Yeah, sure. So, first off, the game on its Steam page, it claims to be the first ever motocross dungeon crawler. But to me, when I think of dungeon crawlers, and maybe this is just a me thing, because I know dungeon crawler can span across a lot of different genres. I didn't view this as like a dungeon crawler. I also think dungeon crawlers, in the name crawl, kind of, it's a little bit slower kind of gameplay. This is a fast-paced kind of game. It kind of, it gives me, like you mentioned, Trials. It gives me kind of a super simplified version of Trials. It's also kind of Line Rider-esque or Flash game-esque. If anyone, remembers like back in the day, like addictinggames.com or Miniclip, they had these style kind of games where you're essentially, you're the Moto Knight on your motorcycle, and you are going through these pretty short levels. And the goal is to balance your character so that it does not fall or hit into any walls. And as soon as your character hits into like a wall or spikes or anything like that, you die and have to restart the level. So that's basically the game. Is you're just kind of going through all these different puzzles, and it's like a physics-based kind of system, right? Where you're, like I said, you're trying to keep your balance, and you're trying to get to the end of the level to move on to the next one. There are kind of different worlds that you can go into, and this is something interesting we'll talk about in the art, kind of how that was created. But I think that's probably one of the most interesting parts of the game is like how it was created. But yeah, it's a very simple game. You have the ability to skip a level, which is great without a penalty. I didn't really understand why, it says without penalty, but there's not really like a scoring system in the game, right? There's not any sort of time, time limit, or I guess, you're not trying to complete things in a certain amount of time. There's no score. So like, what would the penalty even be? There's not really a penalty, right? But you can skip levels. And yeah, I think overall, the game's, it is what it is kind of thing. I have a lot of ideas for like how I think this could be more engaging and just a more interesting overall experience. But for a game that's $2, I wasn't expecting like a ton of content here, especially from a solo dev. And obviously, I spent a lot of time on the art with the game. But yeah, I think overall, it for me, there wasn't a lot of innovation in the gameplay. It felt like it was something that I had played before, whether it was on my phone or on a flash game, whatever it is. But yeah, that's just kind of overall like how I'm feeling about the gameplay. And I can get into some of my ideas later. But what did you think, Tom?
Yeah. I think that it is very much your basic little motorcycle riding game, like Trials or whatever. I played a million of these. You mentioned Addicting Games mini clip. I got to shout out newgrounds.com. That was a big. I spent a lot of time on Newgrounds, and it feels very like that era, right? And there's some cool stuff here with the puzzles and the ability to kind of like interact with the levels is pretty cool, and like it's challenging. It's certainly challenging. Some of them are very hard. I'm stuck on one that I didn't feel like skipping through. I don't really. You mentioned that, like I don't understand why we can just skip through a level. I guess it's gonna probably bring me to a point that I'm gonna have, but
yeah,
it is fine. Right, this is a totally fine game to play. I think that it, like it works the way it is. It felt like I could cheese some of the levels, which like whatever that happens in like puzzle games sometimes. Like you just like or like whatever like platformer puzzle kind of games, you can cheese them sometimes, and that's totally fine. And I think that there was some cool stuff going on, but ultimately, so to give some context, and like I don't want to like totally put this into the review because it's more an outside factor than the actual game. But this developer, Jonathan, does like YouTube videos, right? You mentioned you had seen the video where he's talking about like I did this whole thing on a post-it note, which is really cool. And then he did a video right before it came out saying, I need to finish this game in 24 hours because it comes out on Steam on the 29th or whatever. So I'm going to go I'm going to go to the woods and camp and finish it in 24 hours because that's where I get my most work done because I don't have any distractions, yada, yada, yada. And it was a really cool, fun video to watch, right? He's out in the woods. He realizes he doesn't have his audio files, so he has to go find service so he can upload it to his phone, so he can upload it to his computer, which it was really cool. And like, I like camping. I like being outside. So I really appreciate that. Now, in the video, it seemed like a lot of the levels are being thrown in that last 24 hours, and it certainly shows, I felt like, in the game. Now, if I hadn't known that, maybe I wouldn't have realized that, but I did happen to watch the video before I started playing the game, and I don't think it's a bad thing, but it kind of brings me to this point of like, is this a game? It is a game, certainly a game. But is this a game that is just made to be a game, or is this content, right? A content-based game, which I don't think there's anything wrong with that because like, we're making content, we're content creators, right? So this developer obviously has a great eye for making like YouTube videos and making it really interesting and garners a lot of interest in these games. So it felt very much like, look at what I can do, and here's the final product. And there is, you can argue whether that's a good thing or a bad thing. I don't think it's a bad thing, but it certainly doesn't give a lot of substance to gameplay. I felt like, oh, he finished it, and I'm playing a finished product, but it doesn't feel refined in the gameplay, I would say. And that was tough because I kind of like these games. I was a big fan of Leica, and I used to love these like motorcycle games. I used to have them on my phone. I would play them on Addicting Games. So this is the kind of gameplay I do like, and some of the puzzles I thought were really interesting, right? And then some I was like, okay, this one is totally uninspired compared to the one that I just played, right? It should continue to be like this really interesting, challenging thing going on, like a progression, which, you know, that's where I kind of fell on the gameplay. It all worked. And I only got, so I got stuck on World 3, Level 3. And I don't know if, so if you're watching on YouTube or you look it up, you can see the logo that the Moto Knight is holding an axe. I don't know if the axe ever came into play. I don't, and maybe that was the original idea here. Like you said on Steam, it says the motorcycle dungeon crawler.
Yeah.
That would have been a really cool opportunity to use an axe, but I don't think we had like enemies. I was waiting for enemies to show up. I was like, oh, here's where the axe comes in. Now, I didn't get to the end of the game, but I got through 3 worlds. I would imagine we would start seeing enemies and an axe that's on the logo. So that's, you know, I felt like I was wanting more out of this based on how it was marketed. And that's where I stand on it. But, you know, talk about how in depth the story is.
Yeah. No, there's no story here. Honestly, the story is the development of the game. You know, we'll link this stuff in the description too. The video Tom mentioned about, you know, finishing the game in the woods, and then there's also, this is honestly, I think it blew up on his channel. It's called Sketchy Games. That's the name of the channel for the developer. As you know, 170,000 views, video of I made an entire video game on a single Post-it note. It's really interesting. That's really the story for the game, and kind of leads into like the art discussion. You know, where, and I guess we can hop in the art right now. You know, since there's not too much with the story, unless you had anything else that you would have liked to see story-wise in the game.
No, I don't think you really need it in this kind of game, right? It's just levels and challenges and you know, kind of the physics of the game. You know, we don't need to know who the Moto Knight is or really his motivation or motivations for going through these levels. But you bring up a good point. The story is the content that surrounds it. But yeah, let's talk about the art. The art is actually, I mean, it's very nostalgic, right? It's cute. It's very simple. I kind of like the background feeling like a static kind of piece of paper. I did like the art here because it was just, you know, it looked hand drawn, and that's a really cool style, right? Like, this is not a complex game. Why have complex art? You know, it wasn't so simple that it looked like crap, because that is something you can run into. But it looked, you know, intricate and well drawn, and like a real doodle, and gave like the Line Rider vibes, which you had talked about, which is a game that's really sweet. So, you know, I definitely enjoyed the art, and, you know, I think it arguably might be the strongest point of this game, because like aesthetically, this is what was promised and delivered. So, you know, there's not much to talk about there. I did mention the the axe. I would have liked that have come into play, and if it does later in the game, I'm sorry, but it didn't come in early.
Yeah.
This is the second time a game where I'm like, where are the axes? I want more axes. If you look back at Time Survivors 2, yeah, I was complaining about Abraham Lincoln not having axes. Now I want it's got it in the art. Let me swing an axe. It sounds awesome. Like, you know, we saw how much we loved Leica. So, do you have anything to add on that?
Yeah, you know, like you said, I mean, art was a real strong point with the game. It's all hand drawn. The whole, you know, story of how it was developed on like a Post-it note, and it truly is. Like, if you watch the video, you know, he draws all the assets on Post-it note. He talks about why he did that too. Of you know, I think just in general, you know, people tend to be more creative when they have restrictions on them, and that's what he kind of wanted to do. And even, you know, everything from like obviously the characters and like the assets for each level, but also like the colors themselves. He kind of goes into that as well, where he didn't really know what to do with colors, because you can, you know, obviously in like the game making program that he's using, you could like probably input some colors or use like a bucket tool. But he said that would kind of feel odd because everything else was everything else was hand drawn, so it maybe be a little bit odd. So what he actually decided to do was he drew the colors on Post-it notes, and then he scanned that in, and so that it could technically be like, okay, these colors came from a Post-it note, so everything came from a Post-it note, which I thought was cool. What I really would have liked to see too, I know we're talking about like some ways that this game could be better, is actually in the video that he has about the making of the game. He actually shows that the colors were used to define like the different worlds, the different stages. And I would have really liked to see this also applied to the character himself, Moto Knight. And he actually shows like different bike colors in the video, but I don't think we actually get that. Like you said, I'm also, I haven't finished the entire game, but I'm I think I'm like 3 or 4 worlds in. And so if it's not up until this point, then I don't know if it is in the game at all. But it would have been nice to just have some more customization options for the Moto Knight, since he is kind of the face of the game. And that could be, just different colors or just different things he could wear, or maybe he holds an axe. Maybe that's something you can get and he's just, it's not functional, but it could just be something he has. So I think for the art, it's definitely a strong point for the game, but I think it has more it can do. Towards the end, like before I give my rating, I'll go through. I have a decent list of like suggestions for the game because I do think it has potential. But yeah, as far as the art goes, I thought everything looked great. But I would like to see, a little bit more customization with just kind of everything, a little bit more variety, I guess you could say, with the way things look. But yeah, that's just kind of how I feel on the art. How you feeling about the music in the game, Tom? Sound effects.
So, you get the classic motorcycle sound or like a dirt bike kind of sound, and it's fine. It's clearly just taken from like whatever, the classic file. Now, the main theme in like the menu is a custom like heavy metal song that he got. He mentioned that in his camping video that, he normally would just take like stuff like that's free on the internet, but this time he actually got something custom, and it is a really cool theme. It's like a really, badass like heavy metal song. However, that is just in the main theme area, as from what I could tell. When you're playing, it is just a loop of one specific like heavy metal riff, and it's not a bad riff whatsoever, but it's just a loop. And if you're dying a lot in the in the level, you're like, I am sick of this song, right? It has no variation. It is looping after like maybe 10 seconds at a time. Like, I don't know how many bars it is, but like it's felt like every loop was every 10 seconds. And it doesn't necessarily feel that smooth of a loop either. And it was kind of driving me nuts, to be honest. But I will say everything else was like totally like fine. And the main theme was really cool. And I think that was like, should be a really big learning point for this developer, because like, yeah, getting custom music made by a real artist is awesome and can really enhance your game. And like, that was like a really cool thing. Now, I don't know if this same riff came from that artist, but the loop was just too much. It was too much, and I was like, okay, I gotta not listen to this while I'm playing, because I'm just like, oh, okay, here's that same riff again. Here we go. And when you're dying a lot and you feel like you can't get past the level, you start paying attention to everything else. So yep. That's where I fell on it. It was totally fine. That's a big thing for me though. The loop, especially on a game where you could spend a lot of time in one level, it can be, you gotta think about that for the player. So what about you?
Yeah, totally agree. And I don't know if that was, because obviously games like this are, they're supposed to be pretty challenging and like can be frustrating almost by design, right? So like you got to think, maybe was the music like that, or was it a choice, or was it not a choice, and it just ends up, just kind of being that riff. But I agree. I was starting to get a little frustrated with the music because of that, and maybe that's what the dev wanted. But yeah, it would be, music is definitely something in any game that just can't be, the importance can't be undersold, right? Like we play so many great games with like maybe we're not insanely crazy about the game, but we love the soundtrack. Like Wizard with a Gun, Pepper Grinder last week, just a fantastic soundtrack. So like music can go a really long way with a game, and I think this game, it's got like the vibes of like, okay, yeah, we're gonna probably get some like pretty sick like heavy metal music, but then it didn't like fully deliver on that. And I actually found myself, I don't know if you paused the game like while you were in a level, but I enjoyed the pause menu music more than the actual level music.
Oh, really? I didn't pause the game. I don't think ever. I was just.
It was like bass slapping. It was just like boom, 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 boom. I was like, oh, I want to listen to this. So like maybe even if that was like flipped, maybe, and that was the actual level music. I don't know. I don't know if that was also maybe professionally made or wherever that's from. But I actually just thought that was just an interesting thing that had happened that I'm not really used to like seeing in games. So yeah, I think the music could use some work for sure. But I guess if you're pretty good at the game, you're probably not going to notice the continuous like riffs over and over. But I am not that good at the game, so yeah, definitely something I noticed. But
some of the challenges were really hard. So it's like, and that's not really a knock on the game. I think that you can have a hard challenge and it'd be fun. But when you're listening to the same thing over and over and over again, you're like, I'm gonna kill someone. But we both played obviously on Steam. That's where it's out on. I had no real performance issues. I don't even think I ran into any kind of like glitchy bugs other than like I was able to cheese some levels, but that was it.
Yeah, same here. Everything ran pretty well. Honestly, like I mentioned earlier, excuse me, I think this game could be on mobile. Could definitely, probably, pretty solid on mobile. So I don't know if the dev's thinking about, doing that, but I think it runs so well on Steam, on my PC that it could easily be ported to mobile. But yeah, no major issues on my end for the game. But
yeah. Let's
I
want to hear your final thoughts now and your suggestions because I'm interested to see what you would want out of it.
Sure. Yeah. So I'll start with my rating, I guess, and then I'll just kind of explain some ideas I have for the game. So to just run through the ratings and how they work, essentially we start out with, let me just pull up my notes here just so I don't say this wrong because I know I usually don't do this part, but I'm doing it now. So let's see.
Curveball.
So S tier games here, we got certified fresh juice rating. So that is your Norp Apologues, that's your Balatros, all right? Really high quality games that we absolutely recommend that you go and buy and play. And then we move down the tier to the A tier, which is a steel. All these are grocery themed names, by the way. So we got certified fresh juice. We got a steel. So a steel is a game that is close to certified fresh juice, but maybe there's a few things off with it, but we still recommend the game. It's still a steel. You should definitely go pick it up. And then we got our B tier, which is get it on sale. So this might not actually mean to actually get it on sale, but it's just kind of something, if you think of grocery stores, that, hey, this is on sale. Let me go actually, pick it up and get it. So this is kind of your middle of the road style games where maybe there's more than a few issues, but it's still kind of, has some areas where it shines. And then we start to get into kind of the bottom tiers here where we got C tier, manager special. So these are things that we really recommend that you get on like a heavy discount. If anything, there might be some small redeeming qualities about the game, but the majority of the game is probably not worth the full price. And then finally, we have spoiled milk. These are games that we absolutely don't recommend that you get. Games that'll just waste your time, waste your money, and something that we probably didn't even really want to play anyway on the show. So for me, with this game for Moto Night, I'm giving this an on sale. All right. So this doesn't mean it's a $2 game. So like it doesn't mean, it's going to go on sale for 25 cents and you should pick it up. I think $2 is like a reasonable price for a game like this. That's why I think it should be on mobile. But it's just kind of that middle of the road game where like I think it has a good foundation. I just would like to see a little bit more innovation with the game. So here's some like gameplay elements that I recommend that they add into the game. And really the first thing here is like, what are we doing all this for? Like it would be nice to have more goals in the game. So whether that is, maybe there's collectible coins that you get throughout the levels. I know we were playing Pepper Grinder last week. They have those special little coins you can get through the levels. You don't have to get them, but maybe there's some collectible coins you could get. It maybe high to reach places in the level that you have to do something special to get up there, but you don't necessarily have to do it. Something like that. I think it would be great to even just have a score. That kind of ties into like the collectible coins, like some sort of score, maybe how quickly you get the level done, or maybe however many coins you end up collecting. Just maybe even like points for tricks and things like that. That I think could kind of just help with the gameplay and kind of help with the replayability overall. So yeah, having like a time limit, maybe like a faster completion equals more points, something like that. I think has been done before, but yeah, I think it would fit well with this game. And then, if there is some sort of score or point system, being able to use those points to customize your Moto Knight, whether it's, having an axe in his hand or having a different colored bike or, whatever it is, just some ways to kind of invest your time with the game. I kind of felt like the more I was playing it, I was like, oh, I guess my only goal in this game is to try to complete it. And, by the third or fourth world with that, the music riff over and over, I was just like, I don't even know if I really want to complete this right now. But if there were some more incentives like collecting points, or I was like, oh, that Moto Knight skin's like really sick, like let me try to get that. I think that could really help. Also, if there was some sort of personal leaderboard for each level or for some sort of rating for each level of how quickly you got to complete it. I know that's a pretty popular thing. I would love to see that in the game. I also put like an online leaderboard. I know that obviously is a lot more work, especially for a solo dev and requires like online components. So that's not really something that would be needed, but any sort of like personal leaderboard I think could be cool. And then my two other suggestions here, I told you I had a lot. Are kind of like reaches, something that I think the dev would have to put, a decent amount of time in to develop these. But a roguelike mode, right? I know we keep talking about it, but I know in a recent episode I mentioned like how cool it would be to have like a line rider roguelike. And just sweet. Something. So I think Moto Knight, like I've never seen anything like that before. A kind of this style game, but as a roguelike, that could be really cool and obviously add to the replayability. And then the last thing is like a stage builder. That's like obviously something that like Line Rider doesn't really need because that's like built into the game. But like Moto Knight, I think a lot of the elements are like simple enough that it would be fun to kind of have like a Mario Maker style like stage builder. You just have these set assets. And you can just build levels, and then ideally you would be able to share them with other people. So these last two things are, like I said, kind of reaches, but I know it's a solo dev. I know he's put a ton of time into making the game what it is now, but I do think it has potential. And these sort of like gameplay elements, I think overall just really will help with the replayability. I think that was really what I was struggling with this game, is like I was getting frustrated. So I was like, I don't know if I want to replay this,
Mm-hmm.
or after you beat a level, there was no incentive to be like, oh, I'll go try to do that level better. Right. Like we're playing Pepper Grinder last week. I know it's a different style game, but I would complete a level and be like, oh, I didn't get all the coins. Like I got to go back and see where did I miss it? Where did I miss these coins? So things like that I just could think help overall. But yeah, I'm giving this an on sale at the end of the day, middle of the road, $2 game. You're gonna have some fun with it, and you're only investing $2, so it's not really like a huge, investment where you're gonna regret your time or anything like that. But that's what I'm giving it, Tommy. What about you?
I like all your suggestions. I would also add a poop mode. Why not? We talked about poop games before. Why not throw that in? So this is an interesting one to rate, to be honest, for me, because it was fine, but I think like I felt like maybe if I was not into the content, right? we talk about had some viral videos, like, you know, kind of leading into this game. If I wasn't into the content, like if I wasn't part of the journey, how would I feel? And I wasn't really part of the journey. I had known about the original video. I didn't watch it, but I did watch the camping video, and it was a very fun watch, and it was very enlightening on how this person develops games and stuff like that. And I'm obviously a very likable person, and like obviously really like has like a passion for doing this kind of stuff. But I do wonder if the passion's more on the content side, which is obviously nothing to be ashamed of. But if I'm going to just rate this game as a game, right? I'm going to just try to take out the content side of it when I rate this, because I'm not even fully into the content, right? Like I enjoyed it, but it wasn't. I'm not subscribed or anything like that, and you know, kind of like, oh, what's next? Like, oh, let me see, you know, him take another journey towards developing a game. But, and I do enjoy that content, because I watched a Playdate developer do a lot of that stuff. That was very cool. And, you know, I enjoy that kind of stuff. But as a reviewer of the game, I played Moto Knight, and it is on Steam. It's on a public forum. There are people that are going to play this and do not watch the content. I have to give it a manager special for a couple reasons. I think the gameplay was a little stale, right? And a little inconsistent, especially with the level design. I felt like some levels was like, oh wow, this is really, really like challenging and intuitive or innovative, not intuitive. I guess like some intuitiveness to it. And then some were just like, okay, I feel like I have to cheese this, because either super difficult or just didn't really make a lot of sense. So there's that. I like the art was fine, but like the sound did really bother me. Like it's a game where you spend a lot of time with it, and if the sound is really not going to be like pleasant, or it increases the anger, I don't think that is you know, going to be a winner for me. And then I'm with you. Like, just having no real reason to like replay levels, unless you want to be like, all right, well, I cheesed that one. Let me see if I can play it like a normal person this time. I don't think that's enough. So when I was playing it, I just felt like this should have been this should have just been on like a Newgrounds like 10 years ago. Like, I didn't feel like any innovation was happening with the genre other than the development side of it, right? Like, oh, I did this really cool thing with this post-it note, and then I finished it in a campsite. That's all really cool, but it doesn't matter when I'm playing the game. So I have to give it a manager special. Unfortunately, I did really like the journey that this person took to make the game, but if you know, I'm going to recommend people to, you know, use their time playing a game, it'd be very hard for me to recommend this one, unless, of course, they were really into this person's story, which will obviously link all that stuff. That would be, it's very, very cool. It's very neat. Yeah. So manager special for me.
Yeah, no, I think that's fair. And honestly, like, with this style game, like, it's such a specific like niche that there are going to be people that just really love this type of game specifically, you know, very vanilla. Mm-hmm. But I think compared to, like, you know, we play a lot of different games on the show, you know, there's just you just kind of have to have a lot of these things to like be able to set yourself apart from the competition, and also compete with the competition at the same time. So you know, yeah, I think, you know, hopefully, you know, if you're listening, if the dev Jonathan, if you're listening, you know, we're always honest with these reviews, right? And we always try to give some great recommendations, and obviously down the road, you know, we could do a you know, we've talked about it before, like doing another review of a game, a re-review, right? And then potentially like updating the score, but it definitely doesn't, you know, yeah, we're just giving our honest feedback here. So at the end of the day, you know, it always can be weird, but we're just trying to do our best here. But yeah, no, I totally agree with you. And yeah, and also just want to give a shout out again to our Discord, because this is Moto Knight was actually recommended through the Discord. Yeah. we have a game recommendations channel. So this was recommended quite a while ago, and it's been on our list of a game to check out. And it obviously came out and we did. But just another shout out to the Discord. If you guys have any games that you find on Steam or wherever, really, send them in there, because we definitely add them. I add them to a list, and then I'll reach out to those devs and kind of get an update on their timeline. But yeah, shout out to the Discord. Shout out to Capolo. I think specifically was the one that recommended this one. So shout out to you, Capolo. But yeah. Anyway,
we do have
what is
some.
yeah,
keys?
what's up next here, Tom?
Do we have some keys to give away?
Oh yes, we do have 2 keys for Moto Night to give away.
If you want to just play it for free.
Yeah,
this is
there
a great way to do it. I guess we'll be doing it the similar way we did for the Astro Duel 2 giveaway we did last week. Which congratulations to the people that won that. We had a lot of entries. Very cool, and I assume we'll be doing it the same way.
We're gonna do this one a little simpler, actually. Okay. So we're just gonna do it on Twitter.
Okay.
Because previously we use like this thing where people can enter in a bunch of different ways. And what ended up happening, you guys might have seen. I tweeted on the Fresh Juice Twitter about this, but I put like the giveaway link in our YouTube description, and YouTube like flagged it, and it was like, this is spam. And I even appealed it, and they rejected the appeal. So I don't want to run into that. Like, I think if that keeps happening, then they'll like take down our video that has that link in it. So anyway, yeah, we'll just do it on Twitter. Make it easy, at Fresh Juice Pod. If you're interested in a key for Moto Night, the tweet will be live as you're listening to this. I'm gonna put it live on Wednesday when this goes up, and we'll give away the key a few days later. So yeah, if you're interested in some Moto Night action, we have 2 keys. Thanks to Jonathan for sending those over, and we'll be giving those away.
Awesome. Now we do have some listener questions. And the first one does come from Capolo, who we had just talked about, the Swiss prophet over there. Capolo asks, take an existing game, make it a new genre. And he says, for example, Deep Rock Galactic made into a Vampire Survivor, like with their Survivor version. What game would you pick, and what genre would you transform it to?
Ooh, this is a good one. Trying to think. I want a Tetris first-person shooter. No. I don't know what I would want. You got anything you can think of top of mind here, Tom? I got to think about this.
Mario Kart Battle Mode, but Battle Royale.
Ooh,
that would be cool. You get dropped into a giant Mario Kart battle map, and it's a battle royale. I mean, like, I don't play a lot of battle royales, but I do play a lot of Mario Kart, and that sounds like a freaking blast.
Yeah, that would be awesome. Yeah, that'd be so freaking cool. And we know Nintendo, like, they'll do that in 20 years when like no one's playing battle royales anymore, but then it will bring it back, That's what they do. I think for me, I was just thinking, like, it would be awesome to have like Gauntlet Dark Legacy, but like an MMO, right? You could like party up with your friends, and then you could go out to that like lobby area. Just imagine like a bunch of other people in that area. You could like talk to them, trade with them, or whatever. I think that would be pretty cool. I just bring back Gauntlet Dark Legacy, basically. It doesn't have to be an MMO. Just bring it back, remaster it, but I think that could be pretty cool, since that's kind of what like Diablo ended up doing. I think with Diablo 4 is like making it more MMO-ish. So why not do it for Gauntlet? Get a little Gauntlet love there. Yeah,
you can even do Gauntlet roguelite, where you just like, when you come back to the lobby, you're like upgrading all your stuff, and like with like different currency you get, and then you and your friends are like, all right, back in, let's go.
Yeah.
That'd be
hell
sweet.
Yeah. Oh man, we gotta stop talking about it, because it's gonna make me want it so bad.
Next question comes from rcarp11, who asks, in honor of grilling season coming soon, we just busted out our grill and started grilling some stuff. Hot dogs versus hamburgers?
Hot dogs all day for me. I mean, I love both, don't get me wrong, but like, I fuck with a good hot dog, like, it just, there's so many different types of hot dogs. I feel like I've had more bad burgers than bad hot dogs in my day. So I'm going with hot dogs.
I am surprised. I thought you were going to go burgers, because I know you're a big burger buff, but I'm with you. I haven't met a hot dog I don't love. Right? Like give me a glizz and throw it right down my throat, dude. I'm eating any kind of hot dog. I don't care. I'll mess with some wild toppings if you want. Who cares? I'll try it out. I like my standards. I like a kraut and like spicy brown mustard. Yeah. That's like the best. But like I'll throw ketchup on. I'm not like I'm not like upper crust over here. Like I'm not above ketchup on a hot dog. You know, mustard's the best, but like whatever, you know, any port in the storm, I'm going with a glizz, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. But I'll eat a plain hot dog. I have before. At the turn, golfing, maybe they don't have condiments. That's all right. I got a beer. I'll fucking I'll just have it plain. A raw dog it.
It's not that bad. Like plain hot dog is not that bad. The bread, if the bread's nice enough, like the bun, it's nice. Here's a question. What's the wildest topping you've ever put on a hot dog?
Oh man, the wildest. Well,
that you enjoyed.
That I enjoyed. I'm trying to think. I haven't done anything like too wild. Like I mean, I love sauerkraut, chili cheese, ketchup and mustard, jalapenos. Even I've had that on there. That's been good. Gives me the hiccups though. For the those who know me know that spicy food can give me the hiccups sometimes. But I don't know if any wild stuff. You got something locked and loaded here, Tom?
I mean, it's not wild to me, but people will call me crazy. But I put like blue cheese dressing right on my hot dog.
Oh, okay.
I don't care. You know, it was a dark time in my life, but I really enjoyed it. I do think about it. Now go ahead.
I was just gonna say I've put like Chick-fil-A sauce on a hot dog, but that's not that crazy. You know, that's like, it's not that crazy.
Chick-fil-A sauce?
On a Sunday, I did it.
Oh my God, on the Lord's Day. I will say I had on my other podcast, Fresh and Buds, I had my buddy Pat on the show, and at the end of that show, I was talking about food, and he suggested this thing that he, in his days of getting a little saucy, he would get like and being a real fat ass. He said that he would have this thing called the Cape Codder. He's from Massachusetts, where you get a hot dog and he'd put New England clam chowder on top and eat that. And I'll be honest with you, I bought hot dogs and New England clam chowder soon after he suggested that. I haven't done it yet though, because I just haven't been in a situation where like dinner wasn't already ready, or I was like, I keep forgetting about it. So I'm going to do it at some point. But that seems like two of my favorite things, clam chowder.
I expect to see a picture in the Food Pics channel in our Discord when you do that, because I'm curious to see, one, how you like it, and two, what does that end up looking like? You're pouring soup on a hot dog.
I think like he said that he would like take like the chunky parts and put it on top. Which, it's not going to look appetizing. New England clam chowder already looks a little bit like, some baby spit sometimes. But, it is what it is. So.
I feel like we got to figure out a way for like the, we're going off track here, but the, what are the pigs in a blanket?
Yeah.
Like, I feel like ketchup and mustard is like the only thing that like you can really have with those. Like, we need to figure out a way to like get a little sauerkraut on there. Like, let me get the sauerkraut version. I know I could like scoop it on there, but like, I don't know. It just sauerkraut seems like it's made for like a regular hot dog. I need it on the little ones.
Call me crazy. So sauerkraut's typically shredded cabbage, right? Yeah. What if we get like full cabbage sauerkraut, and then you get like little like leaves of the sauerkraut, and you just take a toothpick, put it right into that pigs in a blanket, right on top. It's just like hang on top, and then you can still dip it with the mustard or ketchup, whatever tickles your fancy. Then you're off to the races.
You gotta go on Shark Tank, because that is genius right there. You can make a whole business. Tommy's Dogs.
And for that reason, I'm out. We finally have the rec room where we recommend something that perhaps isn't an indie game, and then we'll say our goodbyes. I'll take this first.
Yeah.
So today I went out on a walk with my fiance. Very nice day to do it. And I'm not, well,
if this, like, I saw what's in your rec room here and the way you're starting this, I'm like, I think I know what you're about to say, but I didn't think that was the direction you were going to go. So go ahead, continue. I'm sorry.
Well, So, I mean, it's nice to go out on walks. I definitely recommend that, but that should just be like a perpetual recommendation. Now, if you haven't done this in a long time, I recommend you do this. Find a good stick, right? I mean, nothing beats a really good stick. I'm being honest. You just find a nice piece of wood that has fallen from a tree. Sticks, we call them. Twigs. But twigs are too small. You got to find a stick, something with some girth and some something that you feel like, all right, well, this is gonna help. This is gonna hold me up. This is gonna do a lot of different things. I found one today that was like shaped almost like a bow, like a bow with an arrow, but no arrows. Obviously, I didn't find any arrows. Just this big stick, but it also was like a good walking stick. I was doing a trot with it where I would like lift myself up. And it could also like, it almost looked like a scimitar or scimitar. I don't know how they're pronounced. And it was legit. I think if you find like a good stick anywhere and you just play around with it, you don't have to take it home, right? You find it. You're renting it from nature. You're out there. Yeah. You're just like, I'm on this walk. I'm on this hike, whatever. Look at this awesome stick. I'm going to pretend it's a sword for a hot minute. And then before we leave the woods or whatever, I return it to its owner. Right? You rented it. It's returned. And you know what? You're not going to find that same stick ever again. Like, it's very slim chance. I don't know why that is. Like, even if you're like, I left it here. I know it was here. It's like nature knows. There's like, that was too good of a stick we gave him. We need to actually,
dial it back
and, make it harder for him to find a good stick. So get out there, find a good stick. This is like the other, this is another way of saying, go touch grass, go find a stick.
Yeah.
But
dude, I totally agree. I mean, there's nothing better that it brings me back to my childhood when, you just be walking around the woods for no reason whatsoever. Yeah. And I actually, not that long ago, I found a really good stick in my backyard. And I was like, Maria, I'm keeping this stick. And I left it out there for months until it eventually broke. But it served its purpose for quite a while. I just walked around the yard with a stick, felt like Gandalf. It was great.
We're simple human beings, right?
Yeah.
Just give us a stick. We're pretty happy. It'll keep us pretty entertained. But what's your recommendation that's perhaps not a stick?
Yeah, no, and also I was just thinking because typically in the rec room, in the notes in the show, folks, I'll like link to the rec room of what it is, whether it's a movie, album, whatever it is. For stick, there's not going to be a link. All right, it's just going to say go get a stick.
Go get a stick.
Go find a stick and use it. All right, but yeah, for my rec room, this is a music album just dropped like a few days ago. And it's called Might Delete Later. It's from J. Cole. So I'm a pretty big J. Cole fan. Kind of started listening to him over the last few years. And this is kind of like a EP, like mixtape project for like his larger album that he's been teasing for a while. That's going to be coming out apparently soon. But a lot of good reception for this one. If you're a fan of J. Cole, definitely think like he's pretty much like at his prime right now. There's also a lot of talk. There's like a song in there that's like a Kendrick Lamar diss because there's like all, I don't know, this like stupid stuff going on or whatever. But the rest of the album is great and definitely recommend. It's called Might Delete Later. He kind of teased it on YouTube a little bit ago with just a YouTube video called Might Delete Later. No one knew what that was about. And this is a shadow drop too, which I like when there's like a shadow drop for music because this is how I found out about this album, by the way. I also recommend Once Human. This is a beta. I've been playing awesome survival MMO game. I talked about it a while ago when the last beta was going on, but I stayed up till like 3 a.m., 2:30, 3 a.m. playing Once Human. And I was about to go to bed, and then I saw that J. Cole had shadow dropped this like at midnight, and I guess I had missed it. So I stayed up till like 4 a.m, just like listening to that. So it was just like it was a great day. It was a great day of just like playing a great game and then listening to some music I like. But yeah, that's the rec room for me is check out some J. Cole from your local white guy. Check it out.
Yeah, go pop on J. Cole's album, go grab a stick and go wild.
There you go. Perfect.
This has been another great app, folks. Please, give us the old like, comment, subscribe. Check out all of our socials at Fresh Juice Pod. You can continue to find me on Twitter at FreshBudsPod, where I usually tweet about Flesh and Blood, a trading card game that I talk about in my other podcast, Fresh and Buds. And where can people find you, Manny?
Yeah, check me out at Matty Gorm, Gorm, on all the socials. I've been posting a good amount on YouTube. Once Human, Tommy's got Flesh and Blood. I've got Once Human. Those are the 2 games here. 2 indie games also, just to let the listeners know, technically. Yeah, check me out at Matty Gorm on Twitch. I've been streaming more. I've been streaming on YouTube as well, trying out some of the YouTube short streaming, which is new. That's kind of cool. I've had some people pop in there. We'll probably do that for the show at some point as well. And then, and also super pumped for next week, Tommy. We got Goons, Legends and Mayhem coming out. Yeah, we reviewed the demo. We actually found out about this game through PAX, so shout out to PAX. And we've already talked about it in our Discord a bit, so we'll definitely have some play sessions with the Discord for this game next week. But super excited. Super excited for Goons next week.
The edge streak has ended. We are gooning next week, folks. Thank you all. Love you, and stay fresh, juicy.